watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. We are so glad to have you here. We are live today, and I am joined, as always, by my amazing hosts, Mr. David Johns.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Mark McSomething.
What's up, homies? How's it going?
Mark McTBD. And we are really excited today because we are joined by none other than SRT Jovita today. How you doing, Jovita?
I'm good. How are you guys all doing?
We are fantastic.
Fabulous.
And so excited to have you here. We have been looking forward to this for a while, ever since Mark and David ran into you at Diecast SuperCon. And for, I don't know, anybody on our group that does not already know who you are, but for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So in the diecast community, I guess I'll start there.
Yeah.
I'm a huge collector, first and foremost. So I collect mostly Mopar. I collect movie diecast. I collect memorabilia as well. I've got a massive collection, thousands. I don't even know how many I have because it's so many. And that brought me to meeting a lot of other collectors, other like-minded people. And I started working with a company called Neverland as well. I started going to conventions and collecting. I went to an M2 anniversary show, met some more really cool, awesome people there. And then through the SuperCon, I was able to actually do live shows and interview designers. I've done a lot of interviewing designers and talking to people within the different brands like Maisto and Johnny Lightning, like Round 2, Hot Wheels, and some of the designers have become my friends. So it's been a really, really cool journey. And personally, I've been in the automotive world for, I don't know, I want to say all my life, but most of, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years or so. But cars have always been a part of my life personally. So I collect SRTs, which is why SRTs in the name. And that is like, you know, street and racing technology Dodge cars. So I've got a Super B, I've got some SRT4 Neons, one of them that I'm building into sort of a race car street car. So that's kind of where a lot of my passion came from for diecast, is from the automotive world and cars.
And it is, I just gotta say, as the Mopar guy for the show, it's so nice to have a fellow Mopar person on.
Yeah.
So it's lonely being a Mopar person on this show sometimes, but that's okay.
Oh, really?
No,
He cries a lot.
Yeah. Their cars are just so much faster. No, I have a 64 Plymouth Valiant, and I have a 77 Dodge D100 pickup.
Nice.
The Dodge is my daily, and I had a 2003 Neon, but it was the SXT. It was not the SRT4, which I have been told repeatedly is not the same vehicle at all.
Yeah.
So no, it is not a Neon. It is an SRT4. Although some people kindly refer to it as a Neon, so people will go, what's an SRT? Anyway, well, I am really excited about that, and to hear you talk about, you've interviewed a lot of really cool people. You've been to a lot of really cool events, and you're not just a Mopar fan, but you actually run a Mopar club. So tell us about that.
So I started Canadian Mopar Club about, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago. And it just started from the first Charger that I had got, well, the second Charger I'd gotten, which was just a V6. And I started doing mods and going to different car shows and meeting lots of people. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to start a club where we could get like-minded people together, give them something to look forward to go to every week, family friendly, of course, and, start getting everyone's wheels turning. And, and then I started doing events. And, dealerships were throwing car shows for us and meets. They were sponsoring meets for us. And it's just sort of snowballed. And we have about 2,000 members across Canada. We no longer do events after COVID kind of killed some of that. And it became quite a lot of work. But we're still online. And we still do all of that online. But it really brought me to a lot of really cool stuff, like the SEMA show I talked about on my last show. And like I gotten to interview Mark Trossel, who is a designer at Dodge. And these are real cars. So it's really cool because I've talked to designers of big cars and little cars. So it kind of ties it all in together. And those are some of the really cool experiences that I've gotten to experience through the brand.
That's very cool. And then as we mentioned earlier, Mark and David ran into you at Diecast SuperCon. Was that your first Diecast show? Or well, no, you just mentioned you were at the M2 show.
No, I've been to a few of them. So I go to the Hot Wheels one in LA. And then I've been to the SuperCon twice in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to the LA Hot Wheels show again this year. And then I went to the M2 anniversary show, and I think that's it. That's all I've done so far. So kind of a handful of them, but I've attended them sort of in a big way because I got to do the live shows. Another time I just did some social media stuff for SuperCon. And so, yeah, it's been really exciting. And the M2 anniversary show was really intimate. Like there was only about 60 people maybe, and we got to do tours. We got to go to a museum. We got to tour the facilities. So that was really eye-opening to see, like, their warehouse with like thousands of pallets of M2s, and we're all just like, oh, can
I just grab this one?
Yeah.
They actually had like yellow caution tape, and we're like, can we just go over there? And they're like, no. So it was really exciting. And then to meet like the owner of the company, where it's actually one owner, and everybody that works in the company was there. So it was really cool to see that. And of course, Sean Taylor, which I know you guys have met as well. So it's really neat to sort of personalize the hobby and like actually meet these people that design these cars that we collect, and we're running to Walmart to buy, and Target and all that stuff. So I think it's really neat to see that level of the diecast where it starts from the design and then production, and then it goes all the way up to like the collectors and the resellers and stuff. So I think it's really interesting, and a lot of people don't get to see that. So
Jovita, go back to what you just said, because we might have a lot of people watching. Well, obviously we have millions of people watching, but there might be a few that have never gone to a diecast show and are kicking around the idea in their head.
Yeah.
Maybe need that final nudge. Like, how would you sell somebody on just taking the plunge and going to a diecast show?
So that's actually a really good question, because I attended a virtual convention, and this was one of the House of Cars events that they had, and it was virtual. And because of that experience, I got to go the next year and do some social media and some virtual stuff for people that were at home that weren't able to make it. And because I did that, a lot of people actually came to the next show after that. So, if you're watching at home and you're a collector, and maybe you just started, maybe you've been collecting for years and you didn't know that there's this whole other world or conventions or whatever, what I would say to you is, if you want to connect with people, you want to see the brands in person and the designers and the people that represent those brands, and you want to pick their brains, or you want them to sign one of your diecasts, or you just want to be with the people. And there's buying and selling as well as the events, or at the event, then I would say definitely go. And there's always going to be some sort of diecast event wherever you are, in whatever state or country even. And I mean, if you're nervous, because there's some people that are kind of nervous about big crowds and that, I would start at maybe a local diecast event and then kind of work your way up to the conventions. The LA ones are really good, or sorry, that like the Hot Wheels conventions are really good because they're not super jam packed with events, and it kind of gives you the leisure to walk around and choose what you want to do because there's different things going on and you don't have to kind of be at everything at one time. So that would be my advice. And there's lots of good videos. Like I know you guys documented your experience there. So that would be a good place to start and see kind of what to expect. And that's kind of what I was trying to do too, to give people an idea of what they could expect going to this.
And sometimes it's things that you don't expect. And if I can, gentlemen, I'd like to ask a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
I'd like everybody in the chat to raise your hand if Luke Duke has ever serenaded you with a guitar. And I think we're only
Luke Duke. I thought you were talking about somebody else.
So, Jovita, tell us how in the world you wound up getting sung to by Luke Duke, and where was it?
Okay, so I was at the Diecast SuperCon in Vegas, and so Daisy and Luke were there from the show, and they were doing autographs and that. And I had my live show coming up. So I started talking to Tom Wopat, which is Luke Duke, and I started talking to him, and he actually started playing a song for me because I kind of joked around, and I was like, I heard you singing from over there, and kind of joked with him, and I was like, you should sing something for me or whatever. So he actually did at the table that he was signing at. He started, playing his guitar and singing to me. And then I started talking to Catherine, and she wasn't supposed to be on my show, which I was doing a live show on the stage there. And so I kind of mentioned, and I was like, I really wanted you to be on my show, and I was told that you weren't able to do it. And, it's too bad. And, I told her how I felt about her and the whole franchise and, how I watched everything and obviously the General Lee. And it was just so cool. Like I was just already, awe-inspired by both of them. And so I kind of mentioned that, and she said, we started talking about cars and my car, and she goes, wait a minute. She goes, you're a car girl, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you know what? I'm going to be on your show. And I was like, what? So there's more of a story to get to the serenading part. But basically, when she was on stage with me, she ended up calling on speakerphone Tom, and then he ended up coming up on stage. So it was really cool. And then we asked him if he was allowed to sing the theme song, and he said he was. So he did. So that's how it happened.
That's amazing.
Can't beat that.
It was like the best experience of my life. That show.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. We have a comment before we get too far ahead. Scale Enthusiasm. Rob has asked us, what is there to actually do when attending virtually? So I believe he's talking about virtual events. So that was his question for Jovita.
Yeah. So basically, I don't think there's been any great virtual events. And that's how I kind of got involved with doing the live shows, because I talked to the event organizers and I told them, I said, listen, like we paid to go to these events virtually, and it was the same price as going. And this was during COVID time. And I said, I think I can make this experience a lot better. And I gave them ideas, and that's kind of how me doing the live shows kind of started. So I don't think that there is any virtual shows right now. I don't think that there is, but I mean, I have a lot of ideas for how it could be, but as for right now, you kind of have to be there.
Right.
Or you can buy the cars if they go on, sale before the show, which I have been seeing for some of the shows, which is a little disappointing, but
yeah,
you kind of have to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, which can be kind of expensive sometimes, if you don't have a plane tickets and hotel rooms and all that stuff. So you gotta put some money aside.
That's true. But you kind of have to wait till there's one in your area. Like there's a lot of different shows on different sides of the country. So you kind of have to wait till there's something in your area, and there usually is. So you kind of have to move around.
Yeah, Ivan pointed out that he loved the hotel room shopping, whatever that is, and that was the part that I was looking forward to the most. Unfortunately, I have a very small child at home. He's 5 months old now. He was barely a month old when, a month or two old when that happened, so I was not able to attend. But yeah,
I tried to babysit, but
yeah, he wouldn't fit in the overhead bin. It was an awkward conversation at the airport. But anyway. But yeah, so Mark, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I offered to babysit, but he didn't trust me.
He has to get his Red Cross certification first. But
so the in-room trading, buying, selling event thing is basically like, it's the weirdest thing. It's like 6 or 7 or 10 floors, and you walk. You get off on every floor and you walk through all the rooms, and people are literally set up like stores in their rooms, and you buy from their hotel rooms. It's the weirdest thing. I was actually a little bit creeped out in the beginning because I was like, should I be going into people's rooms by myself? But there's like hundreds of people like, roaming the hallways shopping. So it's like, it's cool. It's like this little mini mall but on every floor.
Yeah, David had his diecast in the bathroom. It was kind of weird. I told him, Dave, you can't put the diecast in the bathroom. That's super weird.
Mike Zarnock comes in and goes, Mike Zarnock bursts through the door and goes, Keister Cars, I knew it.
Yep.
Gross. Yeah. How do you get him out of the factory? There's only one way.
You're right though. Like, it took a while to warm up to it, but eventually, I would say 80 to 90% of the people were in there mixing it up. People were waiting out in the halls to get into the big rooms, and there were deals to be had. I found some really good deals and cool people. Like, you stumble into one room and you're just shopping, and oh, by the way, it's the dude that runs House of Cars, New Mexico. Nice. And just great people. Everybody in our hobby, for the most part, is cool, and that's one real good thing about going to these conventions is, like, even the people that are making the cars that we love, they're really down to earth, and they want to hear from you. They want to hear what we want as collectors. It's just really cool. Anyway, back to the guest that we have here.
Yeah. So, of the events you've gone to, which one do you think kind of stands out? I mean, I think I have a feeling I know which one is the big standout event, but what was your favorite event and why?
Well, it's kind of hard to gauge them because the N2 event was intimate, but we did a lot of different events within the event because we went on like tours, and it's really hard to gauge it because that was really cool experience in itself. But then when I did the SuperCon, I got to do the live shows, and I got to see, Catherine and Tom, and it's so hard. And that's where I met Neverland and, started doing some stuff with them. And I also did the VIP tour at the SuperCon, and I did that with them. So I mean, I feel like that's probably going to be the winner because I had so many experiences that you just can't replace, Or
there you go.
Oh, is that at Neverland?
Oh,
yep.
I can just barely see it. Yeah.
I got a his and hers for one for me.
Oh, nice. And those are the two that sold out first.
Quick. Yeah.
Because of Mark.
Like the last ones.
Mark got 5 each. Jovita, tell us about Neverland and like the whole concept behind what they're doing. And if you have any to show, I know that people would love to see them, and just kind of like what makes them unique.
Okay, so Neverland, so that was their first event that they had actually ever been to. So that was their first Diecast show ever, and their debut of the Porsches and the buses. So they did do some exclusive pieces for the show that you could only get at the show. And then, they had the Porsches and the buses and the Tesla. And then they had a gold Porsche, which you guys probably saw on my last show.
Yep.
So basically the technology is what makes the product stand apart from all the other brands, because there's literally a chip on the bottom of the base that you can hold your phone up against, and it'll send you a link, and you're able to get the digital collectible or the NFT of that particular vehicle that you purchased, and you get the number that it is. So it is a numbered vehicle, and you get kind of your certificate of authenticity when you tap the car. So that was something really new to the market, I think, and kind of ahead of its time in a way, because I don't think a lot of people were ready for it. And then, you know, they showed up, and they showed up in a big way, and everybody sort of went crazy over these pieces. And then over the last couple of months, it's just blown up like crazy. So I think it was a really, really neat idea in the beginning, and then it just blew up. Like, you know, people are buying these cars, like the Porsches are sold out for the most part, and they're working on lots of new products, and they're actually making a car for me, which is cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a Mopar.
Mhm.
They're doing a candy line for a few different people that have been involved with the brand. So mine's one of them. It's going to be a Cornet Super B. So it's going to be really cool. And there's only going to be like a limited amount of them, and they will be dropping soon. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's
It'll be exciting. And then there's going to be NFTs with them as well. So that's even more cool. And then you were asking about some cars. So I thought, let's see if I can pull this out. So a neat thing with their packaging is they designed the packaging so when it's in the box, this sort of sleeve, if you will, actually locks in this box. So for shipping, it doesn't bounce around and crack with the acrylic. So this, okay, I'll see if this will come out. Okay, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't want to. So this was the Diecast Supercar exclusive Porsche.
It's got the logo for the show on top there. That's really well done.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then it's got the dice because it's in Vegas. So that's that one. And then because there was a VIP party that Neverland sponsored, that was for the VIPs, the elite VIPs. There was these Evel Knievel buses that were given
that's cool.
Yeah, I know Chuck likes that.
VIPs.
Mm-hmm.
So the theme of the party was like the Robbie Knievel or Evel Knievel, and Robbie had just passed away just before the show.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a tribute to both of them. So yeah, that's what we got. So that was really, really cool. I was excited to be a part of that. And there was some, they did give away some cars at the event. And yeah, it was really cool. And they were involved in the SuperCon in a really big way. And it was nice to see because, you know, you're used to seeing all these different brands. And I wasn't even sure if it was going to be well received because we're so loyal to, you know, Hot Wheels and Matchbox and, you know, all the other brands like Jada and, you know, Round Two. So I was, you know, pleasantly surprised to see it so well received, and they're doing really well. So it's cool. And now they're collabing with different brands, and it's exciting.
So have you taken one off the base? I mean, they're like rollers, right? They're
okay, so I haven't, but I know a couple of friends have. They do roll, but they're not meant to roll.
Yeah.
If I can
fair.
put it that way, because they're really low, so they would drag. So yeah, they're definitely not meant. They're not made to be played with.
Now we looked at these up close, Mark, at the show. I mean, the castings
They're
are solid.
Yes.
The castings are really good, though, right?
Oh yeah, no, the castings are beautiful, like really beautiful. You can see the big brakes, the calipers.
Hold one up there. Yeah, look at that, guys.
For those on the listening formats,
Mark
is holding up a beautiful purple candy Porsche.
And that's cool. Look, it's got the logo on the plinth.
Yeah,
One
it's
of
really well
400.
done.
Yeah.
It's just a well done product.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you claim
gorgeous.
your NFT yet?
No, I just actually just tried that, and I pulled this link up.
Mm-hmm.
You just touch the base and pull the link up there, and
What?
it
Oh,
pulls
there
up
you go.
the exact car. This Fast 420 Eddie, and then log in. Put my phone number in here. Let's try it out.
So
Live.
Jovita, while he's doing that, tell us, can you give us an idea of what someone would expect to pay for one of these?
Are you asking me or Mark?
Yeah, I'm asking you. While
Oh,
Mark
okay.
does that.
So at the show, I think they had a deal where they were like, I think they were like $50 each or something like that.
Yeah, if you bought two, I
Um,
think that's something like that, or might even been.
Yeah, so
might
they
even
were,
less.
yeah, there was kind of a deal at the show. The gold one was 500 at the show. The buses, I think, were very similar. And then I was given a bunch of them. Eli was given a bunch of them. So Eli had them first, and he's a Whatnot streamer. So he was auctioning them. So they were kind of going anywhere from, I think they were around the 200s and up. And then on eBay, they're 200 and up. And I was selling them for 160. I do have some, or sorry, not 160, 150 for the Porsches, 125 for the buses. And on the secondary market, of course, you know, people drive the price up like crazy. But I got them directly from Neverland, and, you know, everything was approved by them. So I didn't, you know, mark anything up or anything like that. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like a legit distribution for Neverland.
An authorized, seller, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
There
So
you
we'll
go.
be reaching out to you to get our copies of the Jovita Super B.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's
Cornet.
going to work yet, but I think, there's going to be something to do with Whatnot, I'm thinking. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how to get
TBD.
those.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. All
congratulations.
the more. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. We've got so many of our guests have got their own diecast vehicles. It's super cool that we're
it was kind of a surprise. It wasn't something that I was ever thinking about. And they kind of just surprised me with it. So I was like, oh, cool. And of course it's going to be like themed to me. So, you know, I got to pick the casting, and there's other castings as well that, you know, other people have picked. And I didn't want to pick one that was popular or one that I thought people would buy. I wanted to pick something that spoke to me, and obviously the Super B. So
it's very subtle, your Mopar fandom, by the way. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Everything behind you is.
You didn't insist that they do a neon. You didn't insist that they just get.
Well, you know what? There's no castings out there.
I know. You had to make it happen.
The closest I think we ever came was Hot Wheels did that weird tuned neon dragster thing.
Yeah, the hard nosed one, and then and then but actually Maisto did a 124th that's spot on, and actually Hot Wheels did do a spot on one. It's the Hot Import Nights. They're really hard to get. I have purchased a few on eBay for some obscene amounts of money, but you know.
Yeah.
So I have
when it's your car, you got to get it. That's
I
my
know.
thing.
You just have to. So yeah.
Yeah. So no 64 Valiants yet. I'm still working on it. The round 2 guys are have given me some hope. I petitioned them on the regular. They've got that 64 Barracuda, and I'm like, come on, man, you're 75% there. You can do it.
Yeah.
But we got a question from Ivan. Speaking of diecast collection, he wanted to know if you collected RLC Hot Wheels.
I do. It's kind of an addictive drug.
Or you get those little drop notifications, and it's like,
oh my gosh,
boy.
It's like, I do.
What's your top
Obsessive.
3, Jovita?
Top 3. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I buy every single one that comes out that I can get. That's a tough one. I don't know.
I think Jovita bought.
There is actually, you know what? There is one that I just thought of, but I don't have it in my hands right now. But I do have Motor Trend put out, they put out the Rotson Datsun,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
and then they put out the General Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a prototype of the General Mayhem.
What?
So it is Hot Wheels. It's not RLC, but that's one of
pretty
my
cool.
favorite pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I really liked the Dodge van one that they just came out with recently, the purple van. That was
Oh,
super
that
cool.
one is really cool. You're
Yeah,
right. That one
we
is
had
cool.
Brendan on right before that one dropped, and we got to talk to him a little about that one, and the swivel power wagon with the swivel chassis. That one was really cool, which we didn't realize until we talked to him, but that actually has an engineering patent on that car for the swivel design that he came up with for that base,
wow.
which was really cool. So
Actually, now that I think about it, I'm gonna say the Superbird, the Real Rider Superbird.
mm-hmm.
It's like an antifreeze color kind of.
Mhm.
That one is pretty cool. I actually cracked one and did a video, and I got like so many views because people are like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
But yeah,
It's your
Let
car.
it breathe. Let it breathe.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All righty, Mark, you got something?
What got you into cars? Like, how young were you, and like, what was your first like thing that really like kind of you can remember that sparked you into getting into cars, and what would that be? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I come from a family of 4 girls, and I was kind of the son my dad never had. So he always was, I was always in the garage with him, and when he was like tinkering with cars and woodworking and all that kind of stuff. So I was always, working on cars in some capacity with him, and my grandfather lived with us at the time, and he was a retired mechanic for Sears Canada. So I kind of grew up a little bit with that. My dad was never Mopar or Dodge. He was into like European cars and like VWs and that. So like German cars. So that was kind of his thing. And then as I got older, you get to see all these really cool cars and like muscle cars and the engines and the sound, and I just that's kind of where I gravitated to. And I got my first Charger. It was an 06, it was just a V6, and I kind of like worked my way up to the 392 6.4 liter. And I never looked back, and it's just been in my veins ever since. I would love to get a vintage car and redo that, or buy one already done if I could ever afford it, or win the lottery. But I think that's kind of where the root of automotive world kind of took place, is from childhood and seeing my dad and granddad work on cars. I think that's probably where it started rooting. That's
cool. Yeah, you chose your own path of what you liked for cars, which is cool. You don't just go with whatever your dad liked, because when everybody chooses their own kind of car, some people like them all, but I think we all have our preferences, on what we love the most and what we don't like so much. But I like all cars. I mean, I appreciate anybody.
What teams are you guys on?
With me, mostly JDM. But I do, I own a detailing business, so I love all kinds of cars. I like 67 Camaro, 396 4-speed SS. Like, there's some cars that I would still like to have. I love the old Corvette Stingrays and stuff like that. So I love all cars, but my true passion, I mean, is a lot of JDM cars, especially some of the older stuff. Like, I'm still trying to get a 71 Nissan Skylines Hako, and those are $80,000 to $200,000 right now. So it's one of my bucket list cars, and I can do it. I just got to get rid of something to do it. So but the old classic, I think the main thing with that old JDM cars is the amount of like heritage and the passion that went into those old cars, like the Datsun 510s and the Z's, and their racing heritage too. That's what I like. But I like all cars, but these guys have a different taste than I do. The cars, for the most part, I think they like Datsuns, but they've got their own deal.
I don't think it's possible to not like Datsuns. They're just fun vehicles. But
They're
you
cute.
know,
Yep.
yeah, I grew up. My family was Dodge fans. I come from a Vanning family and a VW family. Like we had between my mom and dad, I think they had 7 or 8 VW Beetles, 2 or 3
wow.
VW buses. They were, when they first got married, they had a beautiful 67 VW bus camper that was sadly rear-ended by a drunk driver that stole an asphalt truck, and somehow
Oh,
they
no.
survived.
Oh,
but
that's terrible.
but as VW buses go, they are not designed to be hit by asphalt trucks. So sadly, that vehicle that would be extremely valuable now is not in our collection. But you know, I kind of I was originally a Mustang kid. I really wanted to have a Mustang, and you know, one day my dad was delivering mail, and one of the other letter carriers said, "Hey, didn't your kid want an old car?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, this little old lady went to a retirement home, and the son is selling off the house, and the car is going with it. I think they're just going to junk it." And it was a 64 Plymouth Valiant, and I've had it ever since. So it's my first car, and I've had it, and I've had other cars. It is very tough to keep your first car. And as a word of advice for somebody who's looking to get into old cars, my first advice is don't. The second advice is, if you are going to, make sure it is a car that it is the car that you want. Make sure it's absolutely the car that, if you have to have an old car, it's going to be this one, and buy it as close to finished as you can possibly do, because you will, you know, saving now, you will pay way more later. So even with the crazy prices that are out there right now, it's still better to save up and buy one that's done, or at least close to done. Because I did a full frame off down to the shell, rotisserie blast, re-weld all the rusted parts, no filler, all metal. And it's tough. It's real tough. It took a little over 6 years. And
straight,
it was
no sleep.
Just about. No, it was like, you know, do the day job, come home, work until midnight in the garage, rinse, repeat, work 4 or 5 hours on the weekends if I could, you know, and then, you know, but you get burned out. You end up like hitting a wall, and you take a couple months off because you just can't look at it because you're so angry at how slow the process is taking. But yeah, that's the trick, is to keep the momentum up and do a little bit on it every day when you can, which is true of all cars, you know, and especially when you have multiple cars like you do. So
it's a lot of work. It is.
Yeah, like
it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. So I imagine the SRT Super B, that or the 392 Super B, that's a really cool car. But is there an SRT car that, you know, that's kind of like your, you know, all in? I'd really like to get one of those.
I think it would be one of the last editions, like the final editions. I would probably want to get one of those. And maybe it would be like the King Cuda, or the King Daytona.
Yeah.
Maybe I would probably get one of those, if anything. I mean, I don't know about the Demon 170. That's just crazy, but I just really like rare cars. Like the one SRT4 I have is an ACR, and you know, there was only 56, I believe, that were made of that vehicle, that particular spec. Same with the Super B. There's only 10 made in that spec. I also had a Yellow Fever Viper truck, which is really rare as well. So I really like numbered rare vehicles. I'd love to get a commemorative edition. That would be really cool. So that's kind of the stuff that those are the older cars that I would want to collect. And if I could have an actual vintage, I'd probably want like a Superbird or a Daytona. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, right on cue. Superbird Diecast joined the chat. Well timed, Dom. That's his name.
Yeah. I love those late 60s, early 70s B bodies. I think the 70 Super B is my favorite. that era. I just love that unique double grill that it had, the split grill thing.
Daytona. I like the Daytona more personally.
The Daytona is pretty cool. It's just such a wild thing from an era when it was, I miss that part of racing where you had to have the amalgamation fit in, and it's like, okay, well, we have to do this to a factory vehicle. How are we going to make this happen? Well, we'll bolt this wing and this nose cone on and call it a day, and make the fastest thing that's ever been on a NASCAR track before and for a very long time since. But yeah, it's really cool. I think that's something. It's funny to me. Like, if you're a big car person, you can't. I don't think it's possible to be a big car person, like a full scale car person, without being a small car person. I don't know anyone who does big cars and doesn't have some diecasts in their collection. I think they just show up. You don't even have to buy them; they just show up. And,
I mean, there's a couple of designers that I've spoken to that are not really car people at all, and that's just sort of like their job. So that was always interesting to me because I always thought that was part of the process, but not necessarily. So
that's true. Oh, we forgot to have David share his car loyalties.
Yes, David.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same stuff. You guys are talking about muscle, and I go back to Saturn of the late 90s and early 2000s.
Okay.
Why am I laughing? I don't know why I just laughed.
No, my criteria, guys, I'm not cut from the same cloth as you guys. My criteria is I like a car if James Bond would have been seen driving it. That's what I'm going with. Give me the Aston,
Saturns.
So the
Astons,
Aston
Lotus.
Martin, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Saturns, if they would have shot at them or missiles or anything, just bounces right off the plastic panels.
That's what the plastic panel was for, man.
You know how many times I punched that fender in the parking lot and got the cred from my classmates when my fender didn't dent?
You're like, wow, that guy is not strong.
He is not strong at all. That's not the boast you think it is, sir.
Hey, look, that was 4 doors of fury is what that Saturn was.
Yeah.
I remember it dates me a little bit, but I was a kid at the time, a very small kid. But Saturns were such a big deal that they had them on display at Cape Canaveral, showing
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, guys.
Because I'm in Florida, and I'm just a hour and a half drive from Kennedy Space Center, and they actually had them parked out front on these special display things where you could push on it's the space age technology. You can push on the panel and it doesn't dent. It just makes a thunk thunk sound. That yeah. Well,
okay.
You do have a cool ride in your garage, though.
I do have a cool ride. Jovita, you said your dad was a big vet guy.
No, VW.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
The other V.
You mentioned somebody was a Corvette guy, right?
In my family, no.
Oh, well,
No.
No one, David. No one.
Never mind. Never mind.
No
That
one.
was my dad's.
None.
That was my dad's lifetime holy grail, was to get a Corvette. He got it, and as soon as it started falling apart, he passed it down to me. It's just a 95 C4. So that's what I like, messing around on
Barbie.
the weekend.
The Barbie Corvette,
It's not the Barbie bit.
basically.
Yeah.
Actually, my father-in-law
Wish.
has an 80 something that he's rebuilding right now. So
Yeah.
I
They're
think
coming back into fashion, I think. They're retro
again ahead of the curve. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing over here.
now. Absolutely. So, Jovita, I'm curious, as a collector and as an enthusiast in the community, what is it that you like best about the diecast community, and what is it that you're most optimistic about with its future?
I think it's just connecting with other hobbyists. I really love talking to other collectors, seeing their collections of real cars and diecasts, hearing their stories, the history of the pieces, how they came upon this piece, or if they inherited some of it. That's what drives me, is meeting these people and talking to them. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this show as well. So, and you're saying kind of what to look forward to with the hobby. I think it's just connecting the world through this one little diecast, you know. I think that's really cool. I mean, Facebook has a huge community. They're starting it on Whatnot now, Instagram, it's everywhere. And then, you know, there's people like you and I that are doing these podcasts and shows. So that's kind of what drives me is meeting the people and hearing the stories. And then just connecting. Like, you just get to meet so many people. And that's how I started, by meeting these people at conventions. And that was the big key, I think, is going to the different conventions.
Do you want to talk a little, maybe, Jovita, about the show that you just started recently? And you know, it's really interesting. I'm enjoying it, and I would like other people to enjoy it as well. So tell people how to find you real quick.
Well, I appreciate that. So it's called the SRT Jovita Show. So basically, I started this show because, you know, I was kind of dabbling and going and doing lives on Instagram. So Instagram, SRT Jovita is my main handle on Instagram. I also have a Diecast page on Instagram as well. So I started doing different videos and going live there. And I thought, you know, why don't I do a show? It's something that I always wanted to do. And I didn't want to do like an audio podcast or anything like that. I just thought, you know what, why don't I just do a show that's video, and where could I do it? And I thought, you know, YouTube has a live function that I could use, and it's not, you know, super professional like your guys is or anything. I just thought, you know, let's just make it raw, unscripted, and have different people from the automotive world as well as the diecast world on, and then let's just talk and see where it goes from there. So I've had a couple of different people on already. Next week I have Matt Hagen from Dodge Racing. So he's a champion funny car driver. He's going to be on Thursday. And then I've got like Melinda, you know, the Scammer Slayer. She's going to be on. And I've had a couple of designers on. So it's really cool. And I think that's kind of a way that I can connect people with these people and their experiences and give them a little bit of that, the experiences that I've had. So that's kind of where how I started it. And that's kind of where we're going. So it's exciting. I'm super excited about it. I love doing it, and I'll keep doing it as long as people want to watch.
Yeah, awesome. And we're having folks in the chat ask again, what's the name of the show and where can they find it?
Okay, so it's on YouTube. It's called the SRT Jovita Show. It's on, so if you just look up my channel, SRT Jovita, you'll find it there under the live tab. So I've got lots of different videos on YouTube already for, you know, my cars and that. But that one is in the live tab. So it's every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That would be 9 p.m. Central. And it's every Thursday. So I will see you guys there next Thursday, hopefully.
All right. Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to checking that out. And really exciting. I think that's one of the best parts about this project here and the community for me, is seeing all the cool things that people are creating from it. That it's gone from being this hobby that was kind of in the shadows, not in the shadows, that's weird, but you know, it was kind of a solitary thing,
Batman,
for the most part. People just going to the store or going to the hobby shop and, you know, buying things online, and the surge in creativity just since we've all started doing this. We all started doing this just a few years ago, and the show is just over a year old now. And it's just outstanding seeing all of the cool stuff that's coming from it, the connections, the ability to reach out and talk to people and interview them and you know, tell their stories and tell the connections, because I think that's why we like cars in the first place, is we have this connection to them. They are nostalgia, or they're a feeling. They're the feeling of freedom when you get to grab the keys and go wherever you want, or just, you know, listen to whatever you want in the car and enjoy the back roads or wherever it is that you're going, and just have that moment of peace for yourself, or the ability to just appreciate the aesthetic of a car and have it in your hand, even if you can't afford the big one. And you know, and the folks in this community have, you know, by and large been so kind and so eager to engage with the hobby. So that's you're obviously already doing great things, but I have nothing but optimism for your future as you go forward with this new project. So we're really excited about that, and really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today. It's
thank
been
you.
very nice to get to chat with you a little bit, get to know you a little bit better, and we'll have I'm sure many more people when they watch the replay that will find the show and follow and all that good stuff. But again, I think we're coming up on about time, guys. So do y'all have any more questions for Jovita before we go?
What's that little car you got there? What is that?
Yeah, what's this? What?
You guys were talking about being in the shadows, and this is apparently called the Creeper Van, and it was given to me. It was given to me at the Diecast SuperCon. So I was waiting for you guys to pocket check me, and you didn't. So here it is.
That's on us.
Nice.
That's on us.
That is.
I remember making that.
Thank you for that. This is in my collection.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
Well,
yeah, that was
fun.
That was a fun project. I will never do one like that again because I built 22 cars. I built 11 Cruise Bruisers and 11 the custom 70s vans. And
I like the Vegas or bust.
Yeah. Those things are sweet.
The part that killed me was the decals. I didn't think about how hard it would be to put decals on 4 sides of 22 cars.
Yeah.
And, water slide decals. My hands have not been the same since then. But
it's matte too.
Yeah.
So that's even harder, right? Because it's matte.
Yeah, it was tricky. But it was a challenge to myself because I do customs. All my customs are most of the time weathered builds. I do the occasional shiny one for a friend, but I like doing weathered and rusty builds and doing the matte finishes and stuff. And it's just when we were planning on going, we wanted to have something cool to give out. And we were like, oh, let's do a custom. And then we yes-anded ourselves into me doing a whole lot of work and getting very little sleep right before the show. But it worked out well. Everybody that has gotten one, I've heard they enjoyed it. So I'm glad you got one. And, I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but it might not be as intricate as those. So those are going to be very special. But all right, everybody. I am seeing that we are getting pretty close to the end here. Let's see. We got one more comment. Superbird says, I got a custom Cruise Bruiser. Was that one of your customs? I guess it was. If you were there and got one.
I think I may have sent that to him with some other stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yes, that is one of my customs. So all right,
sold it on eBay.
Yeah.
Mark is like,
I'm gonna get some scalping going. So yeah.
Well, I do best.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, please check out SRT Jovita wherever you are: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatnot. Apparently, I got to check out whatnot. I haven't had a chance to do that one yet.
I haven't checked out either. Not yet.
Yeah, I haven't really done anything on the platform yet, but apparently, I think that's the place to be when these candy cars drop. So.
Okay. Well,
okay, that's good to know.
Word to the wise there. So
yeah.
But again, I want to thank our patrons who have supported the show and really appreciate all that you do. And again, if you're not a patron or a member, you can still help us a lot by going to your favorite podcast app and rating us 5 stars. Of course, liking the YouTube videos, sharing them with your friends, sharing them on your Facebook groups, and just keeping the good word going. We really appreciate everybody who has done that for us. And again, check out my colleagues, Mr. David Johns over at Twice Diecast on YouTube and Instagram, and Mark over at Dotson Man Diecast and Auto Peak Detailing on YouTube and Instagram. And if you want some really good ASMR, I highly recommend checking out Auto Peak Detailing, where you'll get some amazing before and afters of the miracles that he works with a power washer. So be sure to check those out.
Inside and out.
Inside and out.
Right into your CD player and your infotainment.
But
Stupid.
Alrighty. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. We got a lot of great interviews coming up. The folks from Diecast Heroes are going to be back, and we are really excited to talk to them again. And again, thank you to SRT Jovita.
Yeah.
I'm from Florida. In Florida, we always drop the J.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
as
we're
always, we want to thank you for
you.
coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks. Bye.
Mhm.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.